How 16 ships create as much pollution as all the cars in the world. Okay? This is from dailymail.co.uk. This is in 2009. So let me get this straight. Riddle me this. If 16 ships create more pollution than every single car in the world, why exactly in the hell are they blaming us for global warming?
One last question. Have you ever seen the sun set at 3 p.m.? Take one last look at the sun, Springfield.
Hey, hey!
I want to start with a question. Do you think it's a good idea to block out the sun to save us from global warming? And a better question. Did you know we've already been doing that for well over 60 years? Let me know in the comments. Is it a good idea to block out the sun? Ever? Even if global warming is what they say it is going to harm everybody on the planet. Is it a good idea?
It's almost like a religion of thought.
Shadows on the clouds.
Look to the heavens, lines in the sky that captivate conspiracy theorists. Chemtrails, followers convinced something evil and secret is going on.
See, and look it. It's got that pattern.
They believe the government or some shadow organization deliberately sprays chemicals to control our minds or to alter the weather.
Okay, I can hear you now. Why are we wasting time on this? Social media has become fertilizer for this conspiracy. Recent surveys indicate 1 in 5 Americans believe in this theory. Now, science is just starting to confront it. So, what are the facts? Let's verify with our experts.
Dr. Jeffrey Forrest, Chair of Aviation and Aerospace Science at Metro State in Denver. Dr. Ken Caldera, atmospheric scientist and professor at Stanford. These are not government agents. They are scientists. That's verified. These are not government agents. They are scientists. That's verified. But first, Chris Zadnik of Denver. He's a believer.
So I could see a line in the sky?
Yes,
right
2 of
there,
them,
right
yes.
now. So what do you think is going on up there right now?
They do tend to put them in front of the sun, which makes sense if they're trying to block sunlight.
What would you say is your strongest piece of evidence proving that chemtrails are real?
Well, what they say is that this is sort of a desperate measure to counteract global warming.
Zadnik is quick to say he doesn't trust the government. Can you blame the guy? Can you blame the guy?
After all, our government doesn't really have the greatest track record when it comes to telling the truth. Agent Orange, the Tuskegee syphilis study, the human plutonium injection experiments.
I can go on and on.
That's the government. But what about science? Wait, that is a tight fit. Okay, pilots and scientists are uncomfortable talking about chemtrails. What is that white line in the sky behind a plane?
Well, the white line behind a jet is a natural process that goes on with the relationship between the aerodynamics of the aircraft and the atmosphere.
They won't even say that word. Scientifically, they're called condensation trails. Contrails for short.
So what you're really doing is you're sort of artificially generating a cloud.
It's like a long white cloud. That's essentially what it is.
That's right.
So what we see up there is not the government intentionally putting chemicals into the sky for geoengineering.
No.
I don't know.
No.
I don't.
No.
I don't.
No.
I don't
know why people, they have a scientific or technical question, and instead of going to the scientists, they'll find some crazy website.
I really desperately want it to not be true.
Based on our highly credible experts and scientific approach to chemtrails, we can verify the chemtrail conspiracy is
true.
False.
Wait, what?
There are probably 100,000 planes in the sky at any given hour, every single day. Why is this important? Because since 1959, since even before that, since 1948, planes have been farting in the sky, blocking out the sun, and people have been pissed about it, but nobody's ever done anything about it. This is the desert sun, And this is about Palm Springs, California. This is from weathermodificationhistory.com. And what you see is Air Force gives Village two choices: live with the trails or move the whole city. You cannot make this up. So for those who say this is all brand new, this whole chemtrail phenomenon, never, it's only just in the last 10, 20 years, bullshit. All right. It's been going on since the dawn of flight. And I have documented this time and time again. Accidental geoengineering has been going on since they started flying. And here you see a general basically dressing down the public officials. The vapor trail story is explained to City Councilman Ted McKinney, Chamber of Commerce Manager Jimmy Cooper, and Chamber President Warren Slaughter by Brigadier General Prescott M. Spicer, Commander of the 27th Air Division, during the Summit Conference on Vapor Trail Problem at Norton Air Force Base. And this was in Palm Springs. And basically, what you find out when you look at these especially is that there are certain pathways in the sky. There are highways in the sky. And Palm Springs, California, happens to be at one of those crucial, crossing zones of the sky where all the planes coincide. And there's a couple of them, obviously. And if you live in one of these cities, hey man, you don't get sunlight, period. Virginia Beach. I mean, I get emails all the time, photos all the time. Climate viewers, you guys are always sending me photos. I've seen it. I believe you. I know. I look at it from satellites. I look at it from emails. Everywhere in the world, but especially if you live in one of these crowded zones where one of these international airports are, or where the supercomputers have decided for all the planes to cross up in the highways in the sky, like Palm Springs, as the Air Force would put it in 1959. Deal with it. Either live with the trails or move the whole freaking city. And you can see that here on weathermodificationhistory.com. Contrail cirrus complaints begin nationwide, 1948 to present. And I have the entire, tail of the tape, as we could put it here. Mystery of the Point Augusta Sky Trails, 1948. Plain Vapor Trails, 1951. Jet Trails, Dim Sun, Palm Springs Gripes. That's a mouthful. 1958. Darn Skyriders. This is Jimmy Cooper complaining about the blocking out the sun. As you know, Cooper wired Son, our entire economy is dependent upon the tourist trade, which is predicated on our bright sunshine and warm climate. Recently, our sky has resembled a mob of exuberant skyriders performing an aerial circus. The contrails are not disappearing, but are breaking down into a haze and creating a cloud-like appearance in the sky. 1958. Okay, guys, all you conspiratards out there, you're going to tell me that here's a newspaper article, Spokane Daily Chronicle, 1958, Palm Springs. Names, dates, addresses, quotes. Whole sky blocked out, 1958. But this is a new problem. This accidental experiment, accidental geoengineering. It's been going on since they started flying. It's because of the jet fuel. It's because of atmospheric chemistry. It's because of cloud seeding. And that's why I say hashtag cirrus clouds matter. And you need to know about them. So as a result, new fuss raised over jet trails, 1958, same thing. Jimmy Cooper talking about the same thing, different thing. Bend Bulletin, the exact same article, different newspaper, same time. And of course, the Air Force told them, go F yourself. Move the city. Nothing we can do about it. U.S. jet planes will lose their vapor trails soon, 1960. Laughable. Did not happen. Not going to happen. Man making Earth a bad place to live, professor says. And he goes on to talk about jets increase clouds. Bryson said that jet aircraft, one time, the region of operation for most supersonic transports might easily be 100% covered with cirrus clouds. The net effect of this would be to further reduce the heating of the Earth, and blue skies might become a rarity. 1968. So I bring all this up just to reiterate the point that when they say airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering, this has been a long damn accident. what they want to call accidental geoengineering, the public pushback against ship tracks, chemtrails, contrails, plane farts, whatever you want to call them, artificial cloud creation, what they call accidental geoengineering, legalized geoengineering with stratospheric sulfur injections, marine cloud brightening, all of that geoengineering jazz, and the growing push to ban geoengineering altogether, which really makes me happy. I think we're coming to a precipice where the public is starting to, not just the public, but the policymakers are starting to realize how stupid and how dangerous this idea is, but they're still, and they, I mean, the talking head, paid for shill mouthpieces in the legacy media are still trying to keep geoengineering in their back pocket.
At 5, Tennessee lawmakers are trying to ban the intentional release of chemicals into the air based on a conspiracy theory. Chief Transportation Correspondent and pilot Maike Beeler explains what's in the anti-chemtrails bill and what this could mean.
Tennessee lawmakers passed SB 2691 earlier this week. If passed, the legislation would ban chemtrails in a bill based on a conspiracy theory. The chemtrail conspiracy theory claims commercial aircraft release poison into the atmosphere intentionally. Believers say the white lines you may see coming from planes in the sky are not vapor clouds known as condensation or contrails, but instead chemicals being sprayed from jets for a variety of reasons. A 2018 study suggests contrails play a big role in global warming that has been underestimated. The Tennessee bill claims the government may conduct geoengineering experiments by intentionally releasing chemicals in the atmosphere. If the legislation ends up becoming law, it would prohibit the release of the chemicals, which lawmakers claim affect the temperature, weather, and the intensity of the sunlight. If Tennessee's governor signs the bill, it would go into effect July 1st. Back to you.
So let's go back to this. 16 ships create more pollution than all the cars in the world. These are those ships, and they are everywhere. I mean, damn it, everywhere. This is an insane amount of ships, and this is globalization at work. I mean, this is international shipping. This is international fishing. This is all of the military ships, all. And what does it do? It creates ship tracks.
To the naked eye, the clouds in the North Pacific all look about the same. But MODIS's sensor reveals a different story. Long, skinny trails of brighter clouds hidden within. As ships travel across the ocean, sulfate particles in their exhaust create more cloud drops that are smaller in size, resulting in even brighter clouds. And on clear days, ships can actually create new clouds. Water vapor condenses around particles of pollution, forming streamers of clouds as the ships travel on. Could air pollution actually curb global warming by making our planet brighter and more reflective?
So on Climate Viewer 3D, we have this beautiful 3D globe. It's beautiful. You know it is. Hate all you like. You can look at it flat. I don't care. That's your thing. But these lines that you're seeing here are ship tracks. So if you go to the MODIS Terra satellite, and they have what's called corrected reflectance true color. True color is what we're seeing right now, what it actually looks like to the naked eye. But if we get rid of that and we go to the 367 band, magically, we start to see this. Oh, what are these lines? I'm sure you guys can see that. These are the ship tracks highlighted by the 367 band, and you can see them through the stratocumulus bands. Isn't that amazing? This is ship tracks. This is what they look like. This is where you can't see them normally with the unaided eye. But with this magical 367 band, all of a sudden, the invisible becomes very visible. See them here? This is before. Hard to see, almost impossible. Turn on the 367 band. There's all the ship tracks. 1, 2, 3, 4, just all through there, seeding all of these clouds. none of this water vapor is going to turn into clouds and make it to California is because all of these ships are dumping all of these chemicals into the sky, which are making clouds, which they claim are cooling the planet and cooling the Pacific, and therefore there's no rain. There's no clouds to make rain because the ships have scavenged it all. It is called overseeding the Pacific Ocean because of international shipping, because 16 of these freaking boats make more pollution than all the cars in the world. That's why we have a weather problem, not to mention a pollution problem, a geoengineering problem. Oh, an accidental experiment to reduce global warming that's been going on for decades. Think that's the only accident? Airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. This is from the Smithsonian Magazine. This is another one that I covered in the article. Accidental geoengineering. So when you guys hear me talk about accidental geoengineering, I'm just using the terms that they're using because guess what? This is what's important. You all shouldn't give a damn about geoengineering or accidental geoengineering. You should be watching the Super Bowl, getting ready to party because somebody's going to throw a piece of leather around and men are going to crash into men and the commercials will be so funny. And guess what? There are some sick, twisted people out there that really don't want you to focus on this. Why is this important? Because there's a lot of damn planes. You thought the ships were bad? Oh my God, you have no idea. Take a look at adsbexchange.com, globe.adsb. That's the transponders. These are all planes tracked by satellite. Beautiful thing about this one that I really, really like is that it has a height meter on these. So as you get into the blue, the purple, and the pink area, we're talking about planes that are flying in the stratosphere, at the tropopause, at the top of the troposphere, where they can do the most damage to the climate, where they can affect the ozone layer, where they create the most cirrus clouds, where they make the most accidental geoengineering. Is this a coincidence? I don't know, you tell me, but when I click on this one right here, I can see this plane is currently flying 39,000 feet. This one, 40,000 feet. And you can see all of these, any one of these that's pink is currently flying right around 40,000 feet. Okay. So, you know, just as a comparison, when we're talking 39,000 feet, we're talking, that's where the tropopause is. That is where the magic line between where all our weather occurs and where the stratosphere occurs. When you're flying that close to the line, your pollution is being deposited in the stratosphere. That is what solar radiation management intends to do, to inject particles into the stratosphere to block the sun. So if we have a situation where all of these planes that are pink that you're currently seeing on the screen, and I mean, you can just go on and on, they're everywhere. You know, this one right here, 45,000 feet. Okay. So as I'm looking at these, every single pink and purple plane that I'm seeing, and there are many, and they are everywhere, and anywhere I go, I'm going to fill the screen with pink and purple, and you'll see that is a lot of freaking planes. And it only gets bigger the more you zoom out and you look. So we're talking, this is just over, the eastern part of America.
As the Biden administration signals its fight against global warming may actually involve blocking sunlight. The White House posting research claiming, quote, solar radiation modification would enable better informed decisions about the potential risk and benefits of SRM as a component of climate policy alongside the foundational elements of greenhouse gas emissions mitigation. Our next guest warns this is simply government's way to control your weather. Our next guest warns this is simply government's way to control your weather. Mark Morano, publisher of ClimateDepot.com, and he joins us now. Okay, Mark, my take this morning was maybe this is one of those or else, get on board with everything else or we're going to block the sun. But I guess it's a little bit more, reality than that. Tell us about it.
Well, this is actually Bill Gates funding this as well through Harvard University. This is retro 1970s. In the 1970s, they believed that our fossil fuels were creating aerosols, blocking the sun, creating man-made global cooling. So they came up with the same kind of geoengineering solutions back then. They wanted to put black soot on the Arctic to melt it. There was one proposal to use nuclear energy to help loosen the Arctic ice caps because they thought they were growing too much. And John Holdren, back in the Obama administration, also supported this kind of geoengineering, if you will, of the climate. This is radical, risky, unproven, unknown effects, but they're doing it as a sort of lever over us to say now in the Biden administration, kind of like, yeah, we know this is dangerous, we don't know the effects, but darn it, people aren't buying electric cars fast enough, or they're not embracing Green New Deal policies, so we have to risk our entire planet with this insane kind of research. It's basically weather modification. China's been doing it for years. It's another form of what the U.S. government has even been doing. The ABC News meteorologists bragged about the cloud seeding they're doing to increase rain or snow and storms. They will control, the government will control the weather and you will be happy. That seems to be, the government will control the weather and you will be happy. That seems to be the new motto.
Yep. The reason I wrote this article is because on MIT, and I was writing this for climatex.mit.edu, so I figured I might want to chew some MIT butthole. And they had written an article, we're about to kill a massive accidental experiment in reducing global warming. It's just an accident, everybody. I mean, ship tracks, accident. I mean, it's just an accident, right? But regardless, MIT Technology Review, we're about to kill it. A forthcoming United Nations regulation will slash shipping industry pollution, but may also speed up climate change. Now, I don't know about you, but I thought the whole point of dealing with climate change was to deal with pollution. But if pollution good because it blocks out the sun, then we don't want to stop that pollution. Don't believe me? That was their exact words. And, they said straight up, we need to, not have more, well, they want to cut it down to 0.5% sulfur emissions, but sulfur cools the planet. So the sulfur emissions from ship tracks cool the planet, and they want to keep that. They want to slash it to 0.5% sulfur content, down from the current 3.5%, or install exhaust cleaning systems. And, that'd be bad, because as John Neeson from the Arctic Methane Emergency Group said, we suggest the G20 should initiate an international project with the Manhattan Project's focus and intensity on geoengineering the planet, on cooling the planet, because, the Clathrate gun hypothesis, the idea that methane hydrates are going to vent rapidly and have runaway global warming, and we're all going to die like the dinosaurs did because dinosaur farts melted methane, which then erupted and then killed the dinosaurs. Can't make this stuff up. But yet we're about to kill a massive accidental experiment in global warming. The problem with it is this does not look accidental to me by any stretch of the imagination. This is marinetraffic.com. And when you look at the amount of marine traffic there is, it's freaking mind-boggling. Now, I know that this may be new to some of you guys, but these are all the ships currently traveling across the Atlantic Ocean, all right? And then you get over here in the Mediterranean, you see it's all packed up. Everywhere you go, ships. And you can click on any one of these ships and you can see these are these massive ships, okay? So like you click on these and you're gonna see, that's US Navy. But look, I mean, this right here, absolutely Costco shipping. And that thing is a football field long. I mean, just absolutely monstrously big ships. These are what these monstrously big ships look like, okay? So these are the types of ships that we're talking about. And when you go to marine traffic and you look at the size of this crap, you have to go, well, damn, bro. How much is ship tracks really contributing to global warming? Or is it actually cooling the planet like they say it is?
A toxic life on the ocean waves. How just a few ships can create more emissions than all the world's cars. Supersized, gargantuan. These ships just keep getting larger. But what emerges from those smokestacks on ships around the world has raised some serious concerns.
Some of these cruise ships, like the Navigator of the Seas behind us, that's probably got the power demand of a 50,000 population town. So it's got air conditioning, electrics, you name it, people there. That is power hungry. So that is pumping out a lot of toxins, a lot of pollution as it sits in harbour. Once it goes beyond the international limit, then they switch to a cruder form of oil, which they call bunker fuel.
So they're not only supersized, but so is the pollution they cause. A ship like the Harmony has two 4-story, 16-cylinder engines burning up to 4,900 liters of fuel per hour, 249,000 liters of fuel per day. One cruise ship can emit more sulfur than several million cars. One cruise ship can emit more sulfur than several million cars. There's more nitrous oxide emissions than all the car traffic passing through a medium-sized town. More particulate emissions than thousands of London buses from just one of these. Container ships are also belching polluters. The Mole Triumph carries 20,000 containers. It's 396 meters long, almost half a kilometer. One massive container ship can, in 1 year, emit cancer and asthma-causing pollutants equivalent to 50 million cars. Worldwide, there are 90,000 vessels. Look, I'm amazed in researching 15 of the world's largest ships account for more pollution than all the cars combined. 15 of the world's largest ships account for more pollution than all the cars combined. Somebody asked me about that in the newsroom the other day, and I had to say it like 3 times, and they had trouble digesting it, and I think I still do too.
Yes, well, partly it's a result of the kind of fuel that these enormous ships use. As we just heard, it's a particularly nasty form of diesel that's often used. It's very heavy, it's very high in pollutants, it's high in things like sulfur that are generally cleaned out of the fuels, the cleaner fuels that we use in our car.
The main source of pollution from the shipping industry is in the type of fuel in use, bunker fuel. And this comes from near the very bottom of the refinery process, where you get the residual fuels called fuel oils. The very bottom of these fuel oils is the most used fuel in the shipping industry, bunker fuel. This fuel is so thick that it has to be preheated in order for it to flow into the engine, and heated even further for it to combust. So when bunker fuel spills occur, the environmental impact is substantial, and the cleanup effort massive. Because unlike crude oil, bunker fuel sinks to the bottom of the ocean, making it even harder to recover. Even in normal use, these bunker fuels are significant pollutants, as a single large cruise ship is responsible for the output of over 83,000 cars worth of CO2, 421,000 cars worth of nitrous oxides, 1 million cars worth of particle emissions, and 376 because liter for liter, bunker fuel contains up to 3,500 times the sulfur content of regular auto diesel. Because this means that the top 49 cruise ships produce the same sulfur content of over 18 billion cars. That's 13 times more than the amount of cars in use today.
New at 5, Tennessee lawmakers are trying to ban the intentional release of chemicals into the air based on a conspiracy theory.
Heavy bunker oil is the fuel of big ships. It is among the most toxic and polluting of fuels. One single large container ship pollutes as much as 350 million cars.